The digestive system is one of the most complicated systems in the human body, comprised with 9 different specialized organs which work in unison to fulfill a task, which is transforming the raw material of your food and turn them into nutrients to keep you alive. The process, it starts in the mouth. Chewing combining with saliva turn the food into bolus. Enzymes in saliva break down carbohydrate to starch. Then it moves down the esophagus into the stomach. The enzyme in the liver start to break down protein with its muscular stuff. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the food moves down the small intestine to the duodenum. The gallbladder secretes bile to the duodenum to break down fat molecule into fatty acid and glycerol, so it is easier for us to absorb it. Then the enzyme carry out the final breakdown of protein into amino acid and carbohydrate into glucose, which will be happening in the lower part of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum and ileum. It has villi, which has a high surface area to absorb nutrients. Leftover fiber or dead cells and water make to the large intestine and turn into our poop, and then we put it out our butt. Hormones, are chemical substances produced by a gland carried by the blood, which alters the activity of one or more specific target organ and is then destroyed by the liver. Examples of hormones are adrenaline, testosterone, estrogen, and insulin. The adrenaline is produced by the adrenal gland somewhere on the kidney, I don't know, which would prepare our body for vigorous action in a fight or flight situation. It will increase breathing and pulse rate and widen pupil. The insulin is produced by pancreas. It reduces the concentration of glucose in the blood so it can flow normally. Then there is testosterone, which is produced in the testes, which cause the development of the male secondary sexual characteristic. Estrogen or estrogen is produced in the ovaries, which also cause the development of the female secondary characteristic and help to control the menstrual cycle. Now we're on to coordination and response. A nerve impulse is an electrical signal that passes along the nerve cells called neurons. The human nervous system has 2 systems that serve to coordinate and regulate body functions together. These are central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made out of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system is made out of nerve and receptors. Changes in the environment are called stimuli and are sensed by special cells called receptions, and response is called effector. Now, the human nervous system is made of this specialized cells called neurons. They are shaped like a long needle stretching off of the cell body in order for it to send message quickly. The longest fiber in the neuron is called the axon, which is like right here, like the bottom part, which can be more than a meter long. The short ones are called dendrons or dendrites, up here. The dendrites pick up electrical impulse from the other neurons, and these signals are called nerve impulses. Then it moves to the axon and then the next neuron. Yeah. By the way, the myelin sheath speeds up the signal because it acts like an insulator, and it sounds like a fruit. Now, reflection arc. If you touch something dangerous, an impulse is picked up by the sensory receptors, your fingers, which would travel quickly to spinal cord along the axon from the receptor cells. This is called sensory neuron because it carries an impulse from the sensory receptor. Then in the spinal cord, the neuron passes impulse to the other neuron. These are called relay neurons because they relay impulse to the other neuron. The relay neurons pass to the brain and also to the effector, which is the arm. The impulse travels along the axon to the motor neurons. Then the muscle then contracts. so that your hand is pulled away from your dangerous object. This is a sort of reaction which is called reflection reflex action. I mean, you do not think about it. It is an example of involuntary action which are not under your conscious control. Oh, now we're on to the synapses. So when the impulse arrives along the axon of the sensory neuron, it causes the vesicles to move to the cell membrane and empty their contents to the synaptic cleft. The neurotransmitter quickly diffuses across the tiny gap and attaches the receptor molecules into the cell membrane of the relay neuron. This happens because their shape are complementary to each other. When the relay neuron receives the message, it sends the impulse along until it reaches the next synapse. Okay, now we're on to the eye. The cornea is the front part of the eye which reflects light. Then there is the iris behind that. Then the pupil, it appears black because no light is reflected on it. It changes size to accommodate the intensity of light. It determines how much light is entered into the eye. The iris regulates the light by adjusting the size of the pupil. If there was high light intensity, the iris contracts to make the pupil smaller, and if there were low light intensity, the iris dilates the pupil. The eye lens is made of jelly. The ciliary muscle changes the focal length of an eye lens to focus distant or near objects. When it relapses, we can see distant objects clearly, but when it contracts, we can see the nearby object clearly. The retina is in the inner back surface of the eyeball. It is light sensitive and is equivalent to the screen of camera. The light sensitive receptors of retina are called rod and cones. When light falls onto these receptors, they send electrical signals to the brain through optic nerve. Also, the fovea is a small bump on the retina which is where most things we see lands on our centers of vision. Humans need to absorb carbohydrate, protein, vitamins, water, fat, and minerals to be healthy. The carbohydrate is our source of energy. Without it, we will have no energy for our body to function. The proteins is for us to grow our bodies and heal wounds. The vitamin helps our body to stay in order and work properly. And water is for hydrating our bodies. It is important that you keep having a balanced diet, because if you overeat or undereat something, you will get deficiency disease. Different people require different amount of food. For example, a pregnant lady needs to eat more than a normal lady. Now we're on to the teeth though. The visible part of the teeth on the top is called the crown, and the part where is in the gum is called the root. The outside layer of the teeth is called the enamel, which is where we used to chew food. Then there is the dentine, the pulp cavity, and the root canal. We humans have 32 teeth in total. Our teeth consist of 4 other different type of teeth designed to do different things. The incisors are the front part of our teeth, which is used to bite food. Then there is the canine, which are the sharp pointy teeth used to grip or rip food. Then we have the premolar and molar teeth, which are both used in grinding or chewing. If you don't brush your teeth, the bacteria will form into a plaque, and it will start eating away your teeth to the core, and then later on you will get gum infection when the bacteria reaches